Day 3 of the February 99 7-day retreat in Springwater. It's another beautiful day, so mellow, inviting to walk and squish through the mud. Underneath the eastern deck, in the shadow, inconspicuously, a bunch of snowdrops is blooming. Look at it when you pass by on the way to there, the compost. All kinds of things. I didn't look at it all. Yeah. In a meeting last night, someone bringing up a report about what goes on in his mind, not the drama of anger or fear, something to get one's teeth into, if you will, but just this inane stuff of the brain playing with spatial things like putting a sofa into this corner or into that corner, fitting puzzles together, fingering an instrument. And this activity manifesting as a haze, hazing over awareness, preventing awareness is how it's felt. Actually, the way it was put, it gets between me and awareness. That's sort of a different question. What this me is, we'll leave that for a different time. A haze felt as a consequence of this incredibly repetitive, mechanical activity of at least part of the brain, which we're all familiar with. Most often mentioned as a tune sticking in the mind, and this tune, just one phrase of it, going over and over and over and over again. Takes a while before one even notices it. It sort of makes for the compulsiveness of one's feelings, one's existence. This tune is just the last straw of it. Sometimes you can really concentrate on this tune, on this humming, and it disappears because now there's concentration. You can even play with it and say, what if I change the tune and you think of another melody, and now that takes the place of this mechanical churning, which is always a state of mild to strong inattention, or sort of this habitual, not quite here-ness. The churning of the organism with something or other. This is what the person wondered. Is there something underneath this that I should have insight into so that this stuff goes away? Well, maybe there is, maybe there isn't. It needs to reveal itself in a certain patience with this ongoing haze. Actually, for those people who've gone through Zen training, there is a word for this kind of occurrence or phenomenon. I remember in my early days of going to Sesshin having incredible cartoons dancing in front of my eyes, or cubistic cartoons. The tiger and the lion, they were cubistic, yeah. little cubes put together, different colors, fascinating. Or these holes in the floor, you all know that, become faces or meaningful figurations. This is summarily called makyo in Japanese Zen, and makyo in English means made by the devil. Actually, whatever the word meaning is, it's a temporary phenomenon of the meditating mind or the concentrating mind. To not worry about this, to let it be, let it come and go like the clouds. Is that possible? To let these states of mind be. Other people talk about Niagara of thoughts going through the mind, and one should by now have fewer thoughts. These are all assumptions and speculations. Can one let it be? Of course, if one is particularly plagued by these makyo, by these cartoon-like things fitting puzzles together or spaciously arranging things in space, whatever the inaneness of it may be, to watch, does one have one's eyes closed? Very often that's the case. And open them up. And for a moment, is this stuff, the holes where the branches were once, the grain of the wood, the color of it, the shininess of it, or the distant hills and sunlight outside, is that a haze? For a moment, to see there's no haze, there's just what is. Try to grasp it with thought, and as somebody remarked last night, and one is off again, thinking about it, philosophizing about it, imaging about it. So, when one becomes aware of being engulfed in fog, open the eyes, the ears, and wonder what else is there beside the mind fog. And there's always the breathing, the floor, the knees, the hands on the thighs or touching each other. Buttocks on the cushion, on the chair, the back leaning or aching. It's too simple. One wants something more spectacular. It's an incredible wisdom skill, if you will, to let things be and open to the wide space of happening beside what goes on in the human mind for this moment. Tomorrow it may be gone, and one doesn't even remember that one was bothered by it. People tell me this quite frequently. I couldn't get into a meeting, or didn't feel I wanted to bring all this stuff up tonight, and the next day is not even there anymore. Maybe something else has taken its place, another worry or concern. Or, for a moment, concerns dissolve in just being here with sunlight and cawing and breathing and peopling. See, we really have a hard time leaving things alone. I want to know, why is this, or what's happening here? We want some interesting explanation, because maybe, find out for yourself. Do we want to become interesting to ourselves and to our imagined audience? Interesting in our discoveries to ourselves or an imagined teacher, or friend, colleague, to have this question there, gently. Not say, this is so, I know it's so. One has to find out directly. It's so hard to just let things happen as they will without analytical treatment, explanation. This is already the openness functioning. The ability to leave the mind alone to its mechanical devices or its mechanical habits. The brain isn't only mechanical, it can be incredibly creative. But it has this mechanical aspect to it which is astonishing. To witness, if you will, not to condemn. Who's the condemner of what? To sort of look and listen right through it in silence. The silence of no position taken, no resistance, no grasping for reasons. If a connection presents itself, then that's different. It's not the mind churning for analytical solution. Coming to another question, just one of the last ones this morning. Somebody first singing a song in praise of this place, how wonderful it is, what a godsend to have it, and how in agreement and sync one is with what's going on here. But then saying, and this is not a criticism, the person said, something is missing here, at least as far as I'm concerned. And I hope I'm conveying it as accurately as it was brought up. What I'm missing is sort of feeling instilled with a sense of urgency, which I was used to in a Zen center. And those of us who have practiced in Zen or Zen-like centers can remember the sense of urgency that was instilled into sitters, verbally and physically with this flat stick hitting the shoulders, so energy was aroused. But often this came right after right after an encouragement talk, many of which were given in the course of a day, particularly before meetings, a really fiery encouragement talk, and this ward on the shoulders, and then, if you're not coming to enlightenment, now when will you? And people are rushing to the teacher. Now, I'm not saying that the person was asking for this, obviously not. Else he wouldn't feel this place as a godsend. But in thinking back, I participated in this, also gave encouragement talks some, who knows how many years ago. It was what you did to arouse energy, which also aroused energy in yourself. But in keeping an open mind with all of these methods and practices, realizing eventually, sooner or later, that the very instilling of, it's really goal-orientedness, trying to get this liberation or this enlightenment, there was an inevitable movement away from where we are. toward something projected, coaxed into, encouraged to get. And also holding meetings myself then, people coming and saying, what am I going to do with all this energy? It's really doing mischief throughout the body. Okay, this may not be what, we didn't have enough time to really go into all of this. But what is missing? Maybe other people at the first mention of this felt, yeah, there is something to that. Because without the Kiyosaku, without encouragement talks, without this instilling of urgency to get going and do something, get someplace, this body-mind, being of physical substance, has an inbuilt inertia. This is one of the first laws of physics, law of inertia. Unless moved, it stays put. And when moved, it'll keep moving until it's stopped. I was very impressed. I had thought physics was something much more exalted. And to hear such simple stuff, it didn't seem possible. But now one can experience the truth of it, can't one? In front of a television or wherever one is, wanting to keep on going in that mode. Or when one is keeping going, one doesn't want to be held up in my hurry to get things done. Because I have to do this and this and this, and don't please put the brakes on me. It results in frustration and anger. So is that what is missing? Actually, one person says it's very difficult when there's nothing going on not to go to sleep. When there's nothing dramatic going on in the mind. What keeps us awake? Particularly on the first day, 2, 3, of utter lack of stimulation that this body is used to, addicted, habituated to. It's all gone. And now what? Maybe some people quit the coffee and the tea when they come to retreat, and then there's headache to boot, withdrawal symptoms. Now what am I supposed to do? I don't know what I'm supposed to do. All I can do is do what I'm doing. I think the only genuine action for me is to come out of this moment of being here and allowing what comes out of it to express itself with the energy that comes with being here and looking. And the energy comes from some other place too. Let me go into this. We do have meetings. I hope you'll have some meetings tomorrow too, if you're so inclined. Some people don't like meetings, particularly not group meetings. They find I don't want to get into all these stuff that people bring up. It distracts me from my quiet presence. I'm just really plain not interested in people's problems. I've got enough of my own. So some people say, or yeah, it seems off the point, off target. I don't feel this way about it. I feel an urgency or an interest. Let me drop that word urgency for the time being. I feel a real, genuine interest in finding out about the confusion of the human mind, here and there, as it is exposed in meeting together. have a real, genuine interest, not just in the confusion and in the delusions that hold this mind captive and distort it to the point of doing incredibly mischievous or hideous, cruel things to each other. The interest to be exposed to it as it comes up, particularly in a retreat, out of silence. And this body-mind seems to be here in order to try to clarify it. It's sort of like a clearinghouse here. The stuff comes in, the input is confusing things or problematic things, delusive stuff. And something goes to work here to see if it can be clarified for myself and each other. We're one indivisible whole. And with that, there is a, if you want to call it, urgency to clarify for ourselves the confusion, the utter confusion of this human mind, which creates so much havoc in this world. Because I could spend time on describing the havoc and what we do to each other, and maybe for some people this would create an urgency, but for a lot of people get turned off by that. They don't want to hear about it. They say, I've got enough havoc here. Leave me alone with the havoc of the world. What about my own problems with my wife or husband or partner? At the office, the inability, or on staff, inability to relate to each other in an open way, wherever one may be working. This is what I need to look at and bring some clarity into. So, is that too something or other? Too inane or too uninspiring? I know when I started doing this work at the Zen Center, giving some talks, was asked to give talks, while the teacher was on his off period. Talking for 20 minutes, a prepared talk, everything typed out, had a lectern, nicely fashioned by somebody, beautiful carpentry with a lamp on it, and reading everything for fear I may get lost, forget what to say, and then be stuck. But after 20 minutes of this prepared talk, the Zen door was opened up to questions and answers. And this was what people really liked, although it would take forever until somebody dared ask something. So a lot of the people felt this was needed and helpful, but a lot of the people felt that Toni is sort of, I don't know how the word was used, making Zen into psychologizing. There was a lot of criticism of this, because you were supposed to fly beyond your personal problems, right, into the real matter. Who am I, or what is Mu? But in the beginning, I didn't even know at all what to do with this criticism. I couldn't deal with it, answer it properly, or understand it properly. But today, I realize the psychologizing is not the right word for what we're doing. It is shedding light on our commonly shared conditioning in a in a new way, not analyzing or explaining, but shedding light, seeing directly at this moment what is happening, or looking this moment at the memory of something that happened in a free way, meaning no position taken, no judgment, no defensiveness, no urgency to get a result, just looking at what's there. So painful, so constricting to oneself and to our relationship with each other. And see whether some light shed on this can lighten up our moment-to-moment living with each other and alone in a non-divided way. In this looking together, to come upon an openness one hasn't known, which is not even knowable, but it can operate in examining together, pointing out to each other our points of view and how they may get in the way, going into this together without restrictions, or becoming aware of the restrictions and by seeing them, shedding them, leaving them behind. So, this exposure of confusion and the urge to clarify it informs this work, as far as I'm concerned. Do I convey an urgency about it? I don't know. I have to watch. I have to watch that nothing artificial takes over, some deliberate instilling of inspiration. Because it needs to be so simple, so plain, so unadorned. Or else there's immediate attachment to the stimulation, to the inspiration, and we want more of that. And with wanting more inspiration, again, away from this maybe ever so drab, painfully drab moment that we've never examined completely. Without calling it drab any longer, leaving the judgments go away, seeing their clouding capacity. What is this moment of drabness, of sadness, somebody said this morning? With another illusion gone, what do I have left? The breakdown of illusions. Leaving this body-mind. Sad? That is the physical, mental hankering for the inspiration and energy of the illusions of relationship. One has found out that a lot of relationship is the play of images. I'm in love with your image, not with you. And vice versa. And why don't you respond to the image that I'm projecting? This was work going on this morning. What's left when illusions about ourselves and each other, and the work and enlightenment and whatever, everything is clogged or clothed in illusion, unless the mind wakes up And when it wakes up to the fact that this is illusion, how we've been remembering and anticipating it, and the romantic feelings connected with it, then there is maybe a moment of total loss, sadness, or is it a moment of freedom? For that to be a moment of freedom, there has to be the shift from hankering for my past illusions to being simply present. With the breathing, the spring air, it may not be spring air for very much longer. It could be some ice storm, or cloudiness, dreariness. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to presence what is present. It has its own energy generator. Which illumines hankering and losing and sadness and nostalgia and pain, you name it. Why is it so difficult to be here in all simplicity? What's in the way? There's nothing in the way. Because everything that's in the way is also present. Present in sunlight, warmth, or hailstorm. Everything can be completely met. Which is what one could call trust. Everything can be met. Either elusively, deludedly, or with open eyes and a vulnerable body. But the open eyes and ears, this vulnerable, sensitive body, is there. It's just hiding, covered up by the clouds of illusion. Which, like these clouds in the sky, can part any moment. And there's the sunlight. There's the blue sky. It's there all the time. Hidden, exposed. Hidden, exposed. So if you say, but I don't know how to meet this moment. I don't know either. It's here. There's no how. It happens. Gurgling stomach. Some sounds. There's always something going on. But what is going on, physically, mentally, audibly, visually, is going on openness, in space, in emptiness, meaning no judgment, no one there to take a position. That's illusion. Meaning mind stuff, mind fabrication. I don't want to just throw these words around and have them floating there. Please, if you have that feeling that this is happening, pin me down. For everything that is said, there has to be, and there is, the ability to pin it down, what we really mean in terms of our moment-to-moment discoveries. So are we here? Are we here? This one moment. Not the next moment, not last moment, just right now. Listening, wondering, being, before we know all about it. We will end here for today.